Hey everyone, I am the Chosen One Legend here, as always joined by my co-host.
Hi, I'm Kai, also known as Fascarine.
And welcome back to our podcast BunchaJokahs, where we talk all sorts of Nintendo things, and today we're back with another one of our retrospectives, looking back on the past Nintendo consoles we grew up with. And probably one of the biggest ones, this is straight up the best-selling Nintendo home console, I believe. We're looking at the Nintendo Wii today. What a console, right, Kai?
It's iconic, isn't it? With its motion controls and all that, it was huge. Especially mid 2000s and that sort of thing. It was a big console, really popular.
It's the console that got your gran playing video games with you. That's sort of its legacy, and
pretty much. Yeah.
It is very much true. But not only that, it had a lot of genuine great games just for the more sort of hardcore focused games as well. So there's a lot to talk about here. We're gonna try and condense it so we don't ramble on for several hours, which we easily could. But there will be timestamps in the description below if you want to hop about the different sections. But basically, we're just going to break this down a little bit. We're gonna first give our sort of initial thoughts on the console, our first experiences, and then we'll go into some more specifics on different games we played and our general time throughout the lifespan of the console, which was quite a few years. But Kai, if you're ready, we'll get things started.
Let's do it.
So just to start things off, Kai, what was your introduction to the Nintendo Wii? How did you first get yours or first play one?
Well, my memory's a little bit hazy because I think when we got it, I must have been 6 years old maybe? I was young.
Oh god, don't make me feel old, Kai.
Yeah. I think it was something like that. I remember getting it for Christmas. It was hidden behind the door and I was like, sick. I don't remember exactly what games I had on it, to be honest, but it was probably Mario Kart and that sort of thing is the most likely option. So that's what I remember, and I've just... Again, that was probably outside of the DS. How do I put it? I guess it was the first home console that I'd ever properly used. I had other consoles before that, but I never really used them because of course I was too young. But the Wii really kicked things off for me. What about you?
Yeah, well, kind of similarly to you. We're going back now to when I was a kid. I was 9 or something. Ago. I know, right? In the olden times, but I must have been 9 or 10. Probably no, it must have been 9 actually when I got my Wii. But this was before the time, when I pre-ordered consoles like I did with the Wii U. Before I knew what was coming out. I didn't have a GameCube. I'd never even heard of a GameCube. I had a PS1 and a PS2 growing up. So although I had the handhelds for Nintendo, the whole sort of console market wasn't something I was aware of. Until I stayed at my uncle's one time. We went to stay with them a few days. And of course, the parents want to talk, they just want to dump the kids on something else so they'll shut up. I was probably an obnoxious kid, I'm not gonna lie. So they stuck us on the Wii that my uncle had. And the two games I remember very well playing with my older sister. We played WarioWare Smooth Moves and Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, the first one. And we just played the heck out of them. We were obsessed. The whole idea of a motion control console was just completely new compared to just the joysticks of the PS2 I was used to. And as you can imagine, immediately when we got home it was, can we get one? Can we get one? Can we get one? And thankfully we were like you, we got ours at Christmas. It might even have been the same Christmas if it worked out that way, but
maybe. I think mine was 2008.
Yeah, I'd have to check, but that sounds about right for me, so that could very well be the case.
Right.
But our mum did the classic parent trick where she wrapped it up as one of her presents, so we didn't see it coming. Saved it till last.
Okay.
Utter deception. I've never forgiven her for the lie, but no, really, it was awesome. We were so hyped, and I was obsessed with it for several years, and really, it was the console that transitioned me from someone who just enjoys playing video games to a gamer with a capital 3 in the middle, if you know what I mean, Kai.
No.
But really, it was the transition console where I started out playing crappy movie tie-in games like I always used to, and then by the end of it was playing Nintendo's greatest. So I really do owe a lot to the Wii. It changed the way I game quite a bit, and I think this is, before we get into some specific games, I think we've got to talk about the biggest change of the console, which is the motion controls. This was the big console to debut the whole idea of the motion controller and how that was used in games. And looking back at it, what do you think of the Wii Remote overall?
Well, I remember things were mixed. I remember a lot of people were like, this is great, this is the future of video games, and it's such a good thing to be like accessible for people. And then there were the people who were a bit more, we'll say like hardcore in a sense, who were like, the games don't control properly.
Yeah.
Which is also fair. So I understand both sides. I personally never really had a problem with the motion controls. Like, of course, every game had its hiccups with it, but overall, because it was my first experience with them when I was young, I thought they were grand. I thought it was great. And even nowadays, I feel like its legacy lives on, where if I'm playing Mario Kart with anyone around my age, there's a good chance that they'll ask me, "Oh, does this one have motion controls?"
Yeah.
Like, or they'll more likely say, "Can you steer the controller?" And it's just like, okay, I know you started with the Wii. Okay.
I mean, Kai, I'm looking directly now at my Wii Remote and the little steering wheel that the Wii Remote slots into for the motion controls, if you remember those. So, yeah, I mean, ultimately, objectively, it was a good move. It would not have been as successful as it was without the whole motion gimmick, which is what enabled people who couldn't deal with buttons, sort of the parents and that, to be able to try and play these games. Just how intuitive it was. You know, you're not trying to map out certain buttons. You just wag your controller and you hit the tennis ball. You know, it's simple and it works damn well. And of course, I think it's been polished now. We're in the Switch era where they sort of, the motion controls are there, but they're only there when they need to be. Whereas in the Wii era, there was a bit of, let's slam these into places where they don't belong and just ruin things. That did happen a few times. There was plenty of awful Wii shovelware of that kind of thing. But then you look at games like, we'll get to later, WarioWare Smooth Moves, and how they use it. There's no denying it had some good stuff.
Yeah, there's a drastic difference in how games used it and whether they worked
or
not.
Exactly. It's sort of a mixed bag, but net positive, I think. And the other big thing that the Wii introduced that I want to mention before we get to the games is the Miis. We sort of take them for granted now as the Miis are just everywhere. They come with Nintendo, they're a natural part, but they were introduced with the Wii. And how much time did you spend with the Mii Maker, Kai? Was it a big thing for you?
Sort of, yeah. I think, I don't remember overall, but I probably ended up making somewhere in the ballpark of like 30 Miis of people on that. And yeah, I thought it was, I loved it back then. It was just like, you know, your own avatar. It was really cool, and you can make it look like you. And yeah, I thought overall it was such a good inclusion that's of course like lived on now through games like Miitopia. So
exactly, yeah. It's funny that they've sort of, the Mii started out a bit more personality-less, but then they got these weird things like Tomodachi Life in the 3DS era, where they're like, let's just go weird with it. But even from the beginning, it was just fun to make Miis of yourself, your family, your school teachers. There's always some weird ones like the hamburger Mii, which went around, and all these sort of bizarre creators. Not quite modern-day Miitopia level with, holy crap, what you can do with that and make them Mona Misa, or whatever it is. It's... But, it was a lot of fun, and I think that did add, again, to the charm of, especially as a kid, just being able to put familiar faces into your games. There were a lot of Mii games around then, and we'll get to those as well. But I'm going to start things off now with the first game, probably the biggest one of the biggest ones. It might be my favourite game, but looking back to, as I said earlier, games that made me transition to really love Nintendo, Super Smash Bros. Brawl. And I know you feel the same way, Kai. What
Starting
a game!
Off with the big guns, eh?
I have to just go straight out there. I love this game. What was your experience with it, Kai?
Of course, I don't think the Wii tracks like how long you play on each game, does it?
No.
But if it were to, then I think Brawl would be at the top by a mile.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I used to play this, I'm not kidding, every single day after school. I would play it for a couple of hours. Just like, you know, making custom stages was one of the biggest things, and just like, I don't know, just enjoying it. God, I love this game so much. This one, introducing me to
Yeah.
Smash and all these other characters. Subspace as well is a whole other thing to talk about.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, Brawl was probably the biggest game for me out of all of them on the Wii.
Yeah, I still remember vividly the first time I played it, because I'd never heard of Smash Bros. Or anything. This was
Right.
back. I had the Wii for maybe 2 years or so. I was in year 6, so I was 10, 11. And it was a new guy joined the school who I became friends with. And I went to his house and played it. And before that moment, all I knew of Nintendo main series was Mario. That was, I played Mario Kart, I played New Super Mario Bros. Games, again, we'll get to later.
Yeah.
But then so when we, the first fight I ever did was on, what's it, Luigi's Mansion stage, and I picked Bowser because I thought he's a big character, he'll be strong. He was not in Brawl. He is garbage. Thankfully, he's better nowadays, as I can vouch
I
for.
main him now in Ultimate.
Yeah,
So.
but he was so bad back then. But I instantly fell in love with the game, and like you say, that is largely due to Subspace and being introduced to all these crazy characters all working together. You can go through it with a friend, and I must have gone through Subspace Story at least like 10 times. And legit, I'm meeting up with a friend at some point soon, and I'm going to suggest we go through it another time because it's addictive. It's great fun, and the cutscenes, and it was my introduction to all of these series outside of Mario. Not just the more obscure ones like Earthbound and Fire Emblem, which may not be obscure now, but it was back then. Straight up,
Right.
we're not going to be mentioning the Wii Fire Emblem games here. Neither of us played those, but
Yeah, true.
but it introduced me to Zelda for the first time. It introduced me to Kirby and Metroid and everything, basically. So all of this, and through Subspace, it didn't just introduce you to their designs and their weapons. Through the cutscenes, you were introduced to their personality. And that is a large part of what made me want to try out the games they were from, and eventually I'd go on to try Zelda, and then I'd get really into Nintendo. So Subspace really did a lot for me in making me sadly obsessed nowadays. So I'm not sure if that's a blessing or a curse, but I'm glad either way.
Yeah. Yeah, Subspace was amazing. I remember my favourite character became Lucas. And I think part of the reason was Subspace, because he had such a good, just sort of arc in that.
He did, yeah.
And the moves were really cool. I loved spamming PK Thunder all the time.
Yes. Still do.
And yeah, of course, yeah. And it was just like a joy. And then the story of Subspace as a whole, it was so good, like how they had all the characters in these really small groups. And then eventually they became like slightly bigger groups and bigger until it became like one huge thing. That was amazing. And I don't think, even though of course there are some stories that are better nowadays, I think in terms of stories where there's no dialogue, it's probably my favourite story of all time. It's amazing.
I think I agree with
all
you.
The characters together. Yeah.
I know this is like used as a meme, but I straight up think it's as good a crossover as Avengers Endgame. It is up there with me.
Absolutely. I think
it's just so.
I think if Ultimate did something like it, then it would be unmatched.
Oh man, that would be insane. I don't think that'd even be possible, but I do wish. And at least it does give. Unlike 4, there's pretty much no reason to go back to Smash 4. Smash Brawl.
Yeah.
There's no reason to go back to the gameplay now, not at all. But for Subspace Emissary, just that alone.
There is one gameplay reason you'd want to go back to Brawl.
You're not going to say tripping, are you?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you that one. Also, Sonic has his "You're too slow" taunt, which he doesn't have anymore.
Yeah.
So that's two good things. And even it's easy to take for granted the core game of Smash now that we've got 70 plus playable characters and it's a much tighter experience. But back then, when it was the newest Smash game, it was impressive having 30 characters mixed together and just playing the standard games. I still did a lot of those, so.
Oh, it was so good. Even all the stuff that came on YouTube from it. Like I remember watching all the machinimas and stuff back in the day.
Yeah.
Iconic, honestly.
Really, generally, I know we've gone in early on the best one, but it is the best one. It's just so good. And the theme tune. Let's not forget the theme tune.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's great.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
But before we do a whole Smash Bros. Brawl video, which we could do, let's be real.
Yeah.
Would you like to give us another game to talk about, Kai?
Okay, I'm gonna give us. Is it okay if I give like what I'd call maybe a genre? Because
Go
again,
for it.
we both have lists to make sure like and we have many games. I think I said something like 28 earlier is on my list, but I've
Yeah,
grouped them together to make it more manageable.
the aim is to keep this video less than an hour long. We'll see how well we
Yeah.
keep up with that, but
We're already a quarter of the way through, pretty much. So
yeah.
let's go. Okay, so the kind of genre I want to show is the 2D platformer genre, where there
Yeah.
were a lot of good ones, and there were four in particular that stood out. So Sonic Colors, Kirby's Epic
Ooh.
Yarn, Rayman Origins, and the biggest one probably, New Super Mario Bros. Wii. All four of these are really good in their own rights. They're probably four of the best ones here, to be honest, but they're all 2D platformers and they all do a really good job.
I had honestly completely forgotten to put Kirby's Epic Yarn and Rayman Origins on there, but they are
Yeah.
both. So just to start off with Kirby and Kirby's Epic Yarn, that game is so charming, man. The music
is.
and the sort of the toy aesthetic, it is the most chill game you can ever play.
Yeah.
It's just got this vibe to it, and I think even I never played the first Yoshi sequel, but I've played Crafted World, and it's just not the same to just how relaxing it is, and it's an easy
Yeah.
time. But if you're just gonna go through it, the Christmas stage, I tend to actually play the winter level at Christmas time just because it's so Christmassy feeling. It's
That's fair enough.
it's good when my voice breaks when I'm talking about it.
Yeah. Did you ever play Rayman Origins?
I did, yeah, and that
How did you find that? Because I never played it.
you didn't play it. It's so good. The slapstick humour to it, the way you can just charge up a slap and then slap the crap out of your mates when you're playing with them as well. It's that about sums up the game in general, I think. It's just wacky and wild. Not to
Right.
mention, it is fun as well. It's solid platforming. It mixes combat in more than other games usually do, but you can sort of run up the rules if you keep momentum going. And whilst I haven't played it in a long time, I sort of Legends, which is the Rayman Legends on the Wii U, that sort of outshone it. That was the superior game, and in fact, it even kept a lot of the Origins levels as like bonus levels in the game. So really, there's not much reason to go back to Origins now. But
Right.
it's a unique style of gameplay, the Rayman 2D platformers, unlike any other. It's got charm unlike any other. And I just wish that we'd get one on the Switch, you know. I mean, Legends has been ported, but I'd happily take a new one.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think I never played that one, but I did play some Sonic Colors, and that was always fun. But yeah, the main one for me was always New Super Mario Bros. Wii, and that's probably the game I've got the most vivid memories of with playing with other people. Man, what a
Same.
concept! 2D platforming on a team in a Mario game. That's
It's
crazy.
utter chaos, but it's beautiful chaos. I mean, a lot of
Yeah, I remember playing through the whole game with family and just like going through some
Yeah.
areas like Bowser's Castle were painful because some people were quicker than others.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, what a good game.
I think it gets some flack nowadays for starting the whole era of just the completed new games. People look back on DS fondly, New Super Mario Bros. DS, and then
Yeah.
sort of like to mock the other ones. But to be honest, I prefer Wii. I think just having four people was just such a joy. And I remember actually when I first got the game, the game arrived on a snow day, so we got to be off school. So
Right? Fair
it
enough.
worked out very nicely for me when I didn't pre-order it. This was again before I was in that time when I was reading gaming magazines and knowing when things were coming out. But
Gotcha.
yeah, and my friends came over and we just had a blast playing it. And I even remember one day when my friend came over and we finally got 100% on it. It was the same day that Skyward Sword arrived, which we'll get to later.
Ooh, nice.
So
Yeah.
it really was just great fun, and I think I think it's kind of hard to go back to now, like the visuals compared to like Wii U. But
Right. It was
I
a
think
great
Wii U is
start,
probably-
though. I really enjoyed
Yeah.
it.
Wii U may be objectively the better game, I think, New Super Mario Bros. U, but it started out the multiplayer chaos, and I'm glad that it brought that because all the memories.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. With you
But
there.
whilst we're on the 2D platformers thing, I do want to quickly mention another Kirby game, Kirby's Adventure Wii, also known as
Oh,
Kirby
okay.
Return to Dreamland, depending on where you're from. Which was I think Kirby's Epic Yarn was actually my first Kirby game, but it's a bit more of a spin-off. So for a straight-up Kirby experience, using the power-ups, being able to play with like Meta Knight and King Dedede and Bandana Waddle Dee, who people want in Smash for some reason. Can't say it's one of my picks, but I wouldn't complain. It was just a joy to play, and the different power-ups you can use and the way they each have... I feel like they really expanded the way that your moveset can work with each power-ups. Before then, you know, it was a bit more basic on what abilities a power-up gives you. But really now, every power-up felt like you were playing a different game, really, with the different ways you could combo moves and do special stuff. Like, the whip had this move where you can sort of like fly with it, just spinning the whip ahead above your head, and it's...
Right.
It was that level of attention to detail that was really fun, and as much as I love Star Allies on Switch, I don't think it lives up to Return to Dreamland. I think they really knocked it out of the park then, so...
They really did return to the Dreamland, so...
They did indeed.
Yeah.
It really was a Kirby's Adventure on the Wii, so...
Exactly. Exactly, that's what we like to hear.
But one last... I swear I'll get out of the 2D platformers, but one last one I want to mention is Donkey Kong Country Returns, which was the first Retro Studios Donkey Kong game, and it's one where, again, it's outclassed by Tropical Freeze. Tropical Freeze is just phenomenal on another level, but it started with Returns, and that was the first Donkey Kong Country game in several years. It was a complete reboot of the series, but they did it so well, combining that difficult platforming of the original, but giving it an extra level of modern polish, and the different environments you would go through, a giant squid appearing in the background as you try and avoid the crushing waves. It really brought Donkey Kong platforming to a new level, and again, it led to Tropical Freeze, so that can't be a bad thing.
True. I remember playing Country Returns as well. That was one of the first games I had, I remember.
Nice.
I remember I didn't really like it when I was younger because...
it's difficult.
I just thought that Mario Bros. Wii was better on it. That was one of the few games where I genuinely stopped playing it because of the motion controls.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Although,
Fair.
Strangely enough, I played DK Jungle Beat a lot more. So, I don't really know, actually, I'll be honest. But
You just need that funky
overall,
rhythm.
Yeah, just a lot of very good games that were 2D platformers.
I mean, really, the Wii was the era of bringing back 2D platformers. You know, with the sort of the 64 and the GameCube, everyone was moving to 3D, and the 2D platformers were largely forgotten. There were for sure some exceptions, but the Wii and DS sort of brought them back, and I'm glad that they did, because now we've got this era where they can coexist nicely, and you've got your 3D games and you've got your 2D games. Speaking of 3D games and 3D platformers, Kai, you ever played Mario Galaxy? That's a pretty good game, isn't it?
What's that? Well,
Space.
actually, I'll do you one better.
Oh yeah?
Have you ever played Mario Galaxy 2? That was also on the Wii?
I'll accept that checkmate. I'll concede defeat. What phenomenal games, man.
Yeah, I remember actually, just before starting the recording, I was listening to Galaxy 2 soundtrack, I think it was one of the final areas.
It's a bop. All of it.
Yeah, the music was amazing in those games. I mean, everything about them really was just so good. They just did everything right.
Yeah, it's hard to describe. It's just the game has a feeling to it that it's completely different to something like Odyssey. So people will often compare them, and obviously you understand why, but they're really completely different experience. And for me, Galaxy, maybe it's because I grew up in it, but Galaxy just holds this really special place where you just go through that first level, and the way the orchestral music kicks in, and you walk around your circle planet for the first time, and it just has this feel to it. Again, I feel like I'm waffling here, but if you have not played this, what are you doing with your life? Go and play it. Do it.
Yeah, go play. It's on like the Switch. I mean, if you can find a 3D All Stars collection, then do it.
Supposedly, there's still a lot of those out in the wild. So
yeah, just skip the middle game. You don't just play Galaxy and then go play 64 afterwards if you want.
Yeah, I mean, funnily enough, I actually haven't played Galaxy 2 in ages. I first played it. I never owned it. I borrowed it from a friend, and then I eventually got given the copy by Sky, the voice of Pyramid, for a very random situation. Yeah, when we were at our
when
did
you get one from her?
Okay, so when we went to we did a meetup with Sky and several people in her community. For anyone who doesn't know, if you're watching, you likely chance you were at that meetup. But and one of our community members, a guy called Louis, he he'd mentioned to Sky's boyfriend Sam about losing his copy of Mario Galaxy or something, so they got him a copy as like a surprise. But they didn't remember whether or not it was Galaxy 1 or 2 he wanted, so they got both, which means they were left with a spare copy of Galaxy 2, and they were just like, Sky was like, does anyone want this? I was like, sure, I don't own this game, I'll take it. So
That's insane.
I know, right? So I can,
I never heard that before.
I'm surprised you hadn't heard that, but yes,
No, I didn't know that.
my copy of Galaxy 2, which I actually I've booted up before, but haven't properly played yet, was given to me by the voice of Pyranha friend, Sky Bennett.
Mad
So I'm going to sell it soon. Yeah, it's it will be in a museum in a few years. True icon. But yeah, and it's like it doesn't do anything original from Galaxy 1. It was originally just leftover levels from Galaxy 1 that they thought, let's make it a new game. But it doesn't need to be new. It does what it does perfectly well. And Yoshi's a big addition that really is implemented perfectly. So what can I say? They are literally some of the most, nothing's ever completely perfect. But Galaxy and Galaxy 2 are some of the most perfect games that are out there. There's a reason they're at like 98 Metacritic score or whatever. They are phenomenal. So,
I was going to say, I might be remembering this wrong, but I remember seeing something a couple days ago about how Galaxy 2 is like the highest rated game of the decade 2010 to 2020, because it was released in 2010.
Yeah,
apparently
it probably
it's
is
the highest rated game of the decade, which is insane. But honestly, I'm not doubting it that much either. So
no. Just listen to Gusty Garden Galaxy and you'll understand everything. That's all you need to do.
Yeah. Blue Eye Bass as well. Just all of them.
Oh,
all
yeah.
of the soundtracks fire.
They are.
Yeah.
But Kai, have you got any other games you want to mention here?
No, that's it. No, okay. I suppose we can talk about... Okay, I weirdly put these two together as much as it might be kind of cursed. But we can talk about WarioWare Smooth Moves if you want.
Oh, yeah.
We'll just focus on that one for now, actually. We'll just do that. Yeah. So you don't kill me yet. I'm
a little scared
you
here.
said you knew a lot about this game, right?
Oh, yeah. As I mentioned, WarioWare Smooth Moves was tied for the first ever Wii game I ever played when I was at my uncle's. So it was what made me fall in love with the Wii. So it's a great game. It's bizarre.
Right.
It's ridiculous and sometimes a little bit disturbing even, but in all the right ways. So
yeah, the quote-unquote final boss of the game is disturbing, let me tell you.
Oh, Kai, watching you do it on stream was something special.
I'm sure it was. It was.
It's just so full of charm, and we've got other WarioWare games since, and we're getting a new one soon, which I'm looking forward to, but I don't think we're ever going to get one quite as bizarre as Smooth Moves.
It was immense. I remember what I used to do a lot in the game is, there was like the multiplayer section?
Yeah.
Where you could play with like up to like 12 friends, I think it was sometimes on that one.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't have any of those. I just played it on my own. But I really enjoyed having like, different people as the people I selected. And I was like, oh, who's going to win this time? I'm definitely not going to throw so that my me wins. I only did that sometimes, for the record. I didn't do it all the time.
Only a little bit.
But yeah, that was so much fun doing that.
What game are you going to ruin by lumping with it? Do I want to know?
Well, I thought, what's the main thing about WarioWare Smooth Moves? It's motion controls. So I thought I'd talk about the bombardment, the pure abundance of just dance games on the Wii, also being very motion control focused.
Oh, man. Okay, yeah, I'll give you that one.
It's also a very bizarre series, to be fair.
Yeah, this was a game we had. It was mostly my sister's, and I'm not just saying that to try and get out of it. It genuinely was. But I had it. I only managed to beat her once in the entirety of our gaming time playing it. But
wow. Okay.
It's fun. Did you play a lot, Kai?
Well, again, my sister got it.
Sure,
but I played it almost as much. I'm not going to pretend. I think, to be honest, I think we have like 5 of them on the Wii, maybe 4. We have a lot of them.
Just Dance was still releasing on the Wii until like 2 years ago. So.
Yeah, I checked. I think there's a 2020 one on there.
Yeah, I think that was. It's either 2020 or 2019 was the last one. It was the last ever Wii game, I believe. So.
I remember looking. I remember looking the other day when I was making these notes, and I think it was another game that was released last year that was slightly afterwards. But in terms of like a series, I think this was just before that, and it's crazy that there's just so many of them that were still releasing. But yeah, they were a fun series. I think they've branched out a bit now, but still they were fun. They were good.
They were. I'm looking at Just Dance 2014 on the Wii U right opposite me at the moment. So
right.
They've kept them going, and they still. I don't plan to get one anytime soon. But tell you what, Kai, if we ever do a BunchaJokahs meetup, we'll have a dance off in the original Just Dance. Yeah, we can.
I think if we can get the BunchaJokahs channel to 100,000 subscribers, then we'll do a playthrough of one of the Just Dance games. How's that sound?
Every single track on there, we'll 100%. Yeah. You heard it here first. Get subscribing, guys.
Let's make it happen.
Only we're at like 91, so I think you can do it quite easily. Just tell your friends.
Yeah. Oh god, there's so many more games.
I mean, I think this is a good time to transition into the sort of, again, motion control games, the Wii brand of games, and there were a lot of them. We're talking Wii Sports, Wii Sports Resort, Wii Play, and Wii Music are the big ones.
Those are the exact four I had lumped together as well.
So let's start things off with Wii Sports and Resort. Everyone played at least Wii Sports. I mean, it was the tying game. So
yeah, I think that probably was the first game I played. I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm not gonna lie, I have no reason to go back to it because Wii Sports Resort is better in every single way. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It introduced
the original's iconic though, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Oh, it is. It introduced the legend Matt. I am only an imposter. I am nothing compared to the one true Matt. So
yeah, weren't you named after him?
Yeah. Fun fact. Although I was born several years earlier, they just it was prophesized. So
yeah, they just knew.
People just knew Matt was coming soon. So.
Yeah, but I remember like all the stuff on there. I remember particularly like the special challenges on Wii Sports. I remember doing quite a few times because I didn't realise they were there until like after a year, and I was like, "Whoa, this is like a secret mode! Oh, cool!" So that was always fun. Wii Play was a big one as well. I think Wii Play wasn't that like one of the most sold games on the Wii or something.
Everyone got it because
it came in a bundle.
Yeah, with a Wii remote. It came with a Wii remote, which is why everyone got it. I got it when I got my Wii, and despite that, there were some fun games. I loved the one where you had to shoot the targets, as like the Mii's were being abducted by alien ships and whatever, and Find Me, where you had to spot your Mii out of a crowd. It was bizarre. Yeah. It was ridiculous, but it had that sort of weird charm along the lines of WarioWare Smooth Moves, that kind of bizarre sense of humour. So if you got a few friends together with you, it was a fun play.
Yeah, I think the one in particular that stood out for Wii Play was Tanks, of course. Tanks has really lived on as iconic. Yes. I keep saying iconic because that's just what the Wii is, I'm not going to lie.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
There's no denying it.
Yeah, everyone loves Tanks. That was fun.
Wii Music. It's not a good game, but it's a fun game.
God, it's the best type of broken.
Exactly, yeah.
It's the best type of broken.
It's so dumb.
What else do you say about it?
I used to play it. When I first played it, my friend had it, and I used to go to his, and it was someone that we'd often sleep over, and we'd be up to like 3 in the morning trying to get the perfect song, playing as Mii's of our teachers, dressed in cat suits, meowing to the Legend of Zelda theme. It's ridiculous, but it's so dumb. Not even in a good way, but at the same time, it's fun anyway. So
yeah.
I would not complain about a sequel, not gonna lie. I would get a sequel to this.
Can you imagine? Jeez. I remember Handbell Harmony was one of the big things I did. And then also that extra mode on it where you had like all the different challenges that were sort of quick fire. All of that was fun. It was just, I mean, to be fair, did you really play Wii Music if you didn't, like, on the regular mode, just mash the Wii remote up and down constantly to get it going as fast as you could?
This is the way. Did? I 100% can admit to doing that. So
I mean, alternatively, you could go through all the lessons and do it properly. We're not.
I mean, apparently some people really love their Wii Music, as Kai found out on his stream.
Yeah, so I've heard there's a devout crowd of people that really like making genuinely very good songs. To be fair,
It's impressive.
I'm just gonna mash personally.
Yeah. But what else did you play, Kai? That was not Wii Music. I mean, mostly Wii Music, right? But other than that.
Well, I guess I guess you could brand this as a Wii game, but I'm going to lump it in with some others. Is the free games Mario Party 8, Mario Party 9, and Wii Party, all of which were on the Wii. They're good.
Good games. They're good. I mean,
yeah, they're just simple.
I feel like Mario Party 8 it was the last game to have proper boards, and although it did mix those in with
dearly.
Yeah, and thankfully we're going to get back to that soon. But although it did take some weird approaches with its other boards, but they actually worked, like the Monopoly style board, where you had to buy the houses and upgrade them. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, Cooper's Tycoon was so good. Best
it really was
series in my opinion.
Yeah, that was a great one. The train one, where you could like move the parts of the train around the carriages.
Yeah.
It had gimmicks that worked well. I think the only thing that can be looked on a little bit less fondly is the mini games themselves, which totally lent into the Wii remote where it didn't need to be. Although I still look back on it fondly, it's probably just nostalgia, I'm not going to lie. But
a lot of them didn't work, I'm not going to lie.
No, but they were fun.
Them not working, but they were good anyway.
Yeah.
And plus, again, I just missed the old system, so it was good to have them there.
Exactly. And what I will say for 9 is that although it introduced a car mechanic which wasn't as good, it had its merits, and the mini games themselves were quite good in 9. That was the strong part.
You know what was really good in 9 that I hope they keep doing? Boss battles.
Yeah.
God, the
boss battles
were so good. I loved that concept. Like, everyone's working together to beat a boss, but at the same time you're all against each other. And just like the different genres you had with, you know, for example, you had the one that was like the memory cards, and then you got some action-based ones, some timing-based ones. There was some that were strategy. Like, that was such a good concept where you were fighting against these bosses. Apart from that, though, again, Mario Party 9 wasn't that good.
It's basically, like I said, it's Mario Party 9 had the best gameplay, but Mario Party 8 really killed it with the boards, comparatively. They sort of filled each other's strengths and weaknesses. Just a shame they couldn't get both in one game, but...
Yeah. And then Wii Party is kind of an oddball in there, too.
Yeah. I never owned this, but I played it with a few friends, and I've watched like the Runway guys play it, and it's nice. It's a good fun game.
I actually bought this. I don't know when exactly, but I'm pretty sure I bought Wii Party in like 2015 or something like that. 2016. I bought it really late on, way later than I should have. I think I just saw it. It might have just been like really cheap, or I got it as like a 3 for the price of 2 or something like that. But I picked it up and played everything in it, and to be honest, that's just as good as a lot of the Mario Party content. Just in a very different style. Some of the side modes are better than others. But overall, it was solid. Yeah,
and Wii Party
there's not much else to say.
Yeah, Wii Party U came out as well, and that was quite good fun. We're not talking about the Wii U now, but
that was even better.
Yeah,
that was a good start to things.
I think I've got one here. If we're talking about the sort of party games you get with friends, Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games.
Yes, all three of them that were on the Wii, right?
Well, I'm going to be honest. I never played the winter one, so I don't know much about that one.
Okay, never mind.
But I've heard it's good.
It's fine. Yes, it's very good.
The most played one was the original 2008, which I mean, like I said, this was the first game I ever got. I ever played, tied with WarioWare Move Moves at my uncle's, and they had a spare copy they gave us. It was a Spanish copy, so it's like Mario and Sonic en los Juegos Olímpicos.
Mario and Sonic un campeonato.
You've just offended so many people.
That might even be Spanish. Oh, it's fine.
Hashtag cancel Kai. Never mind. But
brilliant.
But I mean, the game itself wasn't English. It's just a cover. It's still played in English.
Yeah.
I should emphasise. But it was a lot of fun. I mean, by that point I knew Mario, I knew Sonic, so seeing those two together was cool for the first time for me. And it's just a great game to get with friends when you just aggressively just fling in the Wii remote like, I will come first place in this 100-meter race if it kills me. It's intense, but it's good fun.
Yeah, it was a joy, especially the original that got me into it. Like, it was amazing. It really was. And then I guess I could talk about the other two as well a bit more. But also Dream Race, like the Dream events were a great concept. I think that's what
Yeah,
made the series what it was.
definitely. Yeah. Because I did play 2012, but only at my friends who had it. So you're probably better
Right,
to talk
okay.
about that one.
Yeah, so I'll talk about the Winter Olympics one first,
Right.
and again specifically about the Wii version because I know all of them have like a DS version as well. Um, but the Winter Olympics, honestly, I think might be the best one. It might be my favorite at the very least. The whole thing is, some of the events are good. There's things like you got your snowboarding and etc. Ice dancing, I think was one of them, and all that sort of thing. The events were good, but the real highlight for me was the campaign. The campaign
Yeah.
of this game was phenomenal. So it's basically, I think it was like an 18-day course with, I think it might have been 8 or 16 participants. I can't remember exactly how many. But it was as you're going through these days, you do training events, which were like tutorials for every single event. And then a couple days later within the game, you did the actual event. And in both the training and the actual event, you got points based on how well you did.
Yeah.
And it was just really cool how it went through everything. And I think it was a great tutorial for the game, so it was good to play from scratch. There was a completely separate co-op mode where it's the same thing, but all the events were different. One of the biggest things again were boss battles, where you did boss battles against characters like I remember Rouge the Bat. Who else was it?
I have to ask,
keep
was
thinking-
Big the Cat in this game?
I don't know. I think he was in the crowd. I can't remember.
Better than nothing. Better than nothing.
Yeah. I remember like King Boo and everything, but then the final thing was Dry Bowser was essentially the final boss. It was the final event where you played him in ice hockey,
yeah.
which I found quite comedic. But
That's cool.
yeah, I think that was great. You had like shops where you could buy Mii costumes that adjusted your Mii's stats. There was information there and everything. I think it was the best one. And then I'm waffling, so I'm going to quickly talk about the London games.
Got to represent London.
Not as deep, there wasn't as much there, but the events were good, especially some of them again, some of the Dream events. I remember Equestrian was fun. I don't remember the name of it, but the one where Dream Rafting, that's the one. I remember that. Dream Long Jump.
Yes, I have played that one, yeah.
You
They
do
really
also face
expanded
off
it, I
against
think.
Dry Bowser in Dream Long Jump, so...
Yeah, Dream events weren't in the original 2008 one, I don't think. So they really expanded things with Winter in 2012. It was just cool to
remember,
see
if
them
they
do something
weren't in the
different.
Wii version, they were on the DS, because I remember Dream Race was in one of the originals.
It
but
might
it
have
might be
been,
the
but at least...
DS.
Are Dream events the one where you do it and it's themed for the different series?
I remember they had, in the original, there was Dream Canoe, Dream Shooting, Dream Running. I think it was all on the DS, though, exclusively.
That might be the
so-
case, yeah. Or
But
they
yeah,
just went
there was
all in with 2012 one.
Yeah. There was a main thing in London 2012 called the London Party, where you go around like a miniature-sized London and talk to people, start off events, and then you win events to get stickers. The general consensus is that this mode is bad. It's not a very good event. It's the equivalent of like Smash Tour on a.
Is this
on
the one
Wii
you
U.
played on stream, isn't it?
Might be, yeah. Yeah, it was. Yeah. It's the equivalent of Smash Tour on the Wii U, basically, where
Yeah.
not a lot of people like it.
Oh no.
But I thought it was really fun. I played it a lot. And I think
Yes.
that's basically everything about the series. But yeah, I just enjoyed it. It's a very endearing series to me because I played a lot of the games as soon as they came out.
Definitely. And I don't know how we've gone this long, Kai, without going
Yeah.
into Mario Kart Wii.
Mhm.
Probably one of... Is that the best-selling Wii game besides, like, the tying ones? It probably might be. It's at
Probably.
least up there.
I'll have a look real quick. You start it off and
But-
I'll have a look.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't my first Mario Kart game. That was DS. But just the ability to use motion controls in the steering. I mentioned the steering wheel earlier, which I'm looking at right now. It was just a load of fun. Looking back at it, it's not the best Mario Kart game by any means. It's so unbalanced. The amount of times that you get hit by blue shells is ridiculous. It's like one every 30 seconds. I actually, back when I used to do an old YouTube channel, which I'm not, thankfully it's all private now because it's awful. But I did have a
Oh, I
video of me
remember
playing
watching
it.
some of those.
Oh, you haven't? No, you haven't seen these, Kai. You have not seen these ones.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It's before then, but there's literally a video that's up there. I might even show it to you sometime, Kai, because this one's not so bad. But I get hit by like 4 red shells and then 2 blue shells consecutively. It's ridiculous, but it's so unbalanced. But back at the time, getting some friends together to play Mario Kart, all using the steering wheels and trying to motion control your way to victory, and using bikes as well, it was good fun.
Yeah, it was incredibly popular. I'm just checking now. Wii Sports was number 1, then Mario Kart Wii is number 2.
Yeah,
So
exactly, yeah. And Wii Sports came with the console, so...
yeah. So yeah, Mario Kart Wii was so good with just like I think it had a really big, like, good cast of characters.
It had Funky Kong.
It had Funky Kong, exactly. He was the
Yeah.
best character in the game, actually, competitively.
Mario Kart had a new Funky mode before it was cool, so...
Exactly. But yeah, the tracks were good, the music was good.
Yeah.
Overall, it was a solid Wii game. But then even nowadays, if you think of its legacy, Mario Kart Wii has one of the biggest... I think it's probably the Mario Kart game with the biggest communities for both speedrunning and modding. People are really big on these games still with both of those things. So that's just like, that's fun to see that game is so well praised. Maybe it's just because it's easy to mod. I don't know, but
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Unlike Smash Bros. Brawl, if I had friends over, there's no way I'd go back to just play normal games of Smash on that anymore. But I would go back and play Mario Kart Wii. I think I have before. We used to do like 32 race tournaments, and it's good. Which I won the one we did. I'd like to say just to get it out there. But yeah, it's good stuff. So.
Yeah, it's so much fun. I don't know what special you can say about it apart from that, but just it's such a good entry in the series.
Yeah, I'm winding down. I've only got one more section. Kai, what else have you got to talk about?
Oh
no.
Well, let me have a look. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 7 kind of.
Let's go, Kai. Rapid fire. Let's get through it.
All right, another one that is a 2D platformer, but also kind of 3D. Super Paper Mario. One of the best stories on the Wii.
Mm.
God, it's amazing.
This is a game I really wanted to get, and I kept nearly getting it. But then, this was back when I was a kid, of course. I didn't have money to buy every game I wanted. So it kept getting pushed back, and I've still never played it. But one day, I think I even went to buy it one day, and then it was out of stock where I wanted to get it. So.
Oh, no. Well, it was one of the first games I remember playing, and it was the first Let's Play I'd ever watched, which I now watch quite a few of. Yeah. But that got me into Chugga Conroy and all that sort of thing, so
good stuff.
That's iconic because of that. And then, yeah, I remember just like fond memories of the game. The story is great. Chapter 2 gave me nightmares. God, for anyone who's played Chapter 2, they know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, overall, the story, the music, even the gameplay was good. But overall, it's just like such a solid game. I know it's not Thousand Year Door, but it's still so damn good. And it was basically the last good game in the series, unfortunately.
It's been a mixed bag
it was
since
good.
then. But,
yeah, such a good story.
What else have you got, Kai? Because I've only got one section there. Actually, no. I just realised one thing I forgot. Metroid Prime, I meant to mention. Metroid Prime Trilogy.
I wasn't going to talk about that. Fair play.
But specifically 3. I feel like I might have already brought this up in the Wii U video because that's where I played the Trilogy first. But I did play 3 back on the Wii. And, I mean, if you've know Metroid Prime, you know it's a good game. And the fact that they added motion controls, it just fits so perfectly. I couldn't imagine playing the Metroid games without it. Prime 4 better have it because using your pointer to aim Samus's arm cannon is just so intuitive and... They're very atmospheric, fun games. Bring on Prime 4. So, I'll leave it at that.
Let's do it. Alrighty. I guess moving on ahead. Let's talk about 2 games from Next Level Games, who did a couple on the Wii. For reference, some of their most recent stuff is like Luigi's Mansion. But on the Wii, they made 2 games. So first is Punch-Out, the Punch-Out Wii game.
Right.
And again, the characters in that are so vibrant. A lot of stereotypes, but I think they do a pretty good job of making it all funny and whatever. The gameplay is difficult, but it's sharp, it's good. Again, that's still a game that's speedrun a lot to this day, and highly appraised. And then, of course, the big one, Mario Strikers Charged. We can't make a Wii retrospective without talking
Nope.
about Strikers Charged. That was one of the best party games on the Wii. Man,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
I need to play it. I need to try it at some time. Kai, you've brought up before in our remasters video how you want it brought to Switch, so hopefully they'll keep that.
It's probably the remaster at this point I want more than any other game, because it would work so well on the Switch. The gameplay is just very good. It feels very good. The power-ups are good, but overall, just the personality that the game holds with every single character. Even the sidekicks, every single character has their own theme. They have their own music, their own celebrations and special moves and everything, and it's brought more character to the Mario series than any other Mario game.
Waluigi Hip Frost, that's all you need to know. That's all you need to know about that game.
That game kind of made Waluigi, I think.
It did, yeah.
It engraved him into history.
Exactly. But actually, I'm going to bring up my last ones here, because speaking about games remasters that you want and games we talked about back then, the game I talked about in our remasters discussion actually is happening. And when we're recording this, it's happening tomorrow. And that is Skyward Sword. Can't discuss this without talking about Legend of Zelda. And man, Skyward Sword is a phenomenal game. It is straight up, it's tied for my favourite Zelda game with Breath of the Wild. Completely opposite ends of the spectrum. But that's what makes it so great. How it has this story and this personality. The best version of Zelda we've seen. It's got Groose, need I say more? It's got Girahim.
Good point.
It's just so fantastic, and I like the motion controls. I know some people are iffy on that, but I mean, if you are, you don't have to use them in HD at least. But
just get good.
Yeah, exactly. Just get good. I mean, simple. But Skyward Sword, it wasn't my first Zelda game, but that was Ocarina of Time 3D. But it was my first ever Zelda game that I got at launch, that I had that pre-order for, and I had that hype for. In fact, it was my first ever game I got at launch. So it was my first game where I had this build-up going into it of being looking forward to it for ages. And it just blew me away. It lived up to all my expectations, and I became obsessed. So it is partly nostalgia, I'm not going to lie, I'll admit it. But
I'm not going to admit that it's nostalgia.
it's a good game, I promise. But find out for yourself. Buy a HD version if you haven't played it already, or if you have played it already, because the music's so good. The gameplay is completely different to any other, but it makes it work. It's linear, but it owns that with some of the best dungeons and boss fights we've ever seen in the series. If you know the Ancient Cistern and Koloktos, you know what I'm talking about. It's just fantastic, and I'm so looking forward to playing it tomorrow. It's a good chance that when you're watching this video, I'll be playing it at that exact moment, because it's so damn good. And I do want to quickly mention Twilight Princess as well, which was a Wii and GameCube game, but I played the Wii version, and I played that after Skyward Sword. It was when I was going back to play the Zelda games I missed. And it's just got a really good feel to it. It's looked down upon by some by trying to be too edgy, but I think it has this epic feel that no other Zelda game quite has, which is partly thanks to its art style and its tone. It gets the feeling of epic, the most Zelda ever has. And it's a really fun, solid Zelda game that I need to replay at some point, because it's good. I mean, I play it on Twilight Princess HD nowadays, but good game.
Good game.
Kai, you need to play these two games. I know you haven't.
Alright. I know I haven't.
Damn right you do.
Okay, I only have a couple left, so we can clear this up within an hour.
Let's do it.
One real quick is Rhythm Heaven Fever. I don't want to talk about this one too much because I talked about it in the monthly podcast not too long ago. But great game, great style. Songs are all bangers, banger after banger after banger.
Beat that beat.
Monkey Watch. Ooh, hee. Bobba Dubba Dub, is that true? Yes, it is a good game. That's basically all we need to say.
That's all you need to hear. Yeah, it's good.
It's brilliant. We need another game on the Switch again.
For Osho.
Very good game. Okay, I think the final thing I want to talk about isn't necessarily two games, but they're two features of the Wii, which we haven't talked about. No, it's not the Wii Shop theme, although that is a banger. So they're called. One is called Check Me Out, and the other one is called Everybody Votes.
Oh, Everybody Votes! I remember that.
So, do you want to talk about what Everybody Votes was, since you remember it?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's been so many years since I did it. I can barely remember it, but I just know that every week or so it gave you a topic, and like it's sort of like the Splatoon Splatfest kind of thing, isn't it? Of which do you prefer? And you would vote for which you did. You put your Mii in the section, didn't you? You'd move your Mii over to that section or something.
Yeah.
And then you just get to see the results. I only used this in like the final days of the Wii Life. I learned about it later on, but it's just a fun community thing, and I would love that back on the Switch.
Yeah, that would be so fun. Can you imagine?
Yeah, it's just charming. It's just got like, a little bit of charm to it. I guess Splatoon kind of fulfills that, but continues that legacy in a way. But it'd be nice to have it in just a similar format for anyone.
Yeah, it'd be nice, yeah. And then the other one is Check Me Out. Now, this is the one I use more often. But basically, it would say... The one I remember most vividly is just like... make a Mii of someone who would go to the moon, I think it was, or draw an astronaut. Or,
yes!
Yeah, or make a Mii of an astronaut, something like that.
I remember this,
You know what I'm talking
vaguely.
about now.
Quite very vaguely,
I had to search up like exclusive like Wii things so that I was like, oh yeah, I remember this one.
Yeah.
I remember that one particularly because apparently I did really well on it. I don't remember how I did well, but I just remember doing well on that one.
Nice.
And yeah, you just make Miis of certain genres and then you vote on them and you get awarded at the end, like, you know, people saying, hey, you did well on this one. Or you did terrible. You should be ashamed in yourself. They didn't actually say that. Oh, that's not...
They just thought it. They didn't say it.
Yeah. I just wanted to talk about that one very briefly. Like, they were very cool features, and I wouldn't mind if they brought back, particularly Everybody Votes. I don't know how well the other one would go down, because you know what people would draw.
Oh gosh, yeah. But I feel like that's a good point though. We sort of the Miis have got their own new niche with like the sort of the Tomodachi Life and the what do you call it? Miitopia style of game now. But back their identity before all of that was this whole sort of quirky Wii app thing, and I would not mind seeing that come back on the Switch. But basically, I mean I think that brings us to the end now. I mean, sorry we didn't talk about Xenoblade. It's obviously a fantastic Wii game.
I was about to mention that as the final game. I was like, there's one game that we need to mention.
I mean, we both played it on the 3DS for the first time, so...
Yeah, I never played it on the Wii.
Yeah, me neither, but I'm glad that it existed. That's all I can say.
Yeah, it was there. It was probably one of the best games on the Wii, even though I never
probably
played
was. It on it. But yeah, that brings us to the end. What a console, what a legacy, man. It was so much great. And as you can tell from the games we talked about, it really just got me into so much of Nintendo that I would not have known otherwise. We would probably not be here doing this talk if it weren't for me getting the Wii, if I'd got a PS3 instead, so... Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah, it's just such a, like, you know... It's just so present, the Wii, like, with so much, and I guess, like, the timing as well of when we grew up with it, like, man, it's just great. It
is, and, but that... So that I can squeeze this in before and under an hour, let's rapid fire this outro. Thank you so much, guys, for watching this discussion. It's been great fun talking about it, and of course we'll probably do a DS one at some point, so look forward to that. If you want to see that and the rest of our channel content, maybe give us a subscribe here on BunchaJokahs on YouTube to see the rest of our gameplay series and discussions and monthly podcasts. Or if you want the audio-only versions, we're also on Spotify and other podcasting sites under the name BunchaJokahs. And we've got to give a big thanks, of course, to Sam, our graphic designer, who works on all the different BunchaJokahs graphics you see. And, of course, to you, Kai, for being my co-host for far too long now. Where can people find you at?
Good. They can find me at twitch.tv/Vascarine, link in the description. Still currently playing through Miitopia. It's such a fun game. I know we'll probably talk about it more once I've gotten a bit further through in a podcast in the future, but it's brilliant.
Well, we talked about Miis a lot today, so if you want your Mii fix, that's where you can get it. Go check it out. But that is the end, so thank you so much for watching, guys, and we will see you in the next video. Take care.
Bye.